Hello, welcome to O'side De-Mystified. I'm your host, Councilmember Rick Robinson. Today, we'll be sitting down with our city clerk, Dr. Zeb Navarro. Dr. Navarro brings a wealth of experience and insight to our discussion. As the custodian of our city's records and the guardian of transparency and governance, his role is essential to ensuring the smooth operation of our local government. Today, we will learn all about responsibilities of the city clerk, their importance during elections, and so much more. So when we return, we'll dive into the world of city governance, transparency, and election information with Dr. Zeb Navarro. We'll be right back.
This is Oceanside City Clerk Zeb Navarro with Did You Know on KOCT. Did you know that the elections are coming up? The public will vote for state, federal, and county offices. Ballots will be mailed out to all registered voters. Ballot drop-off locations will also be open, and early voting will also start at the Register of Voters office. For ballot drop-off locations, visit sdvote.com. Not registered to vote or need to update your registration? You could do so at sdvote.com as well. If you have any questions, you could contact the San Diego Register of Voters at 1-800-696-0136 or by visiting sdvote.com. Be sure to keep up with all election coverage at KOCT.org and follow KOCT on Instagram and Facebook for all things North County.
Welcome back, everybody. And it's my pleasure now to introduce you to our city clerk, Dr. Zeb Navarro. Zeb, hi.
Hi, Rick.
Thank you for being here at O'side De-Mystified.
I've always wanted to be here. This is a dream come true.
Well,
finally, I'm here.
And I think it's appropriate with the timing of this and things we have coming up, and hopefully we can get into a bunch of different subjects. But I think one of the mysteries behind, and the reason we do this is to teach people a little bit about our governance in the city of Oceanside. But you play a very particular role in the city as our city clerk. And I thought I always like to start off by, one, if you'd share a little bit about yourself and your background and how you got into this role, and then we'll talk about what you actually do.
Certainly. I've been a lifelong Oceanside resident. I've lived here all my life, and my first foray into politics was through a former council member named Lucy Chavez, who was my babysitter. Oh. And she would come over to our house, talk about what's happening in Oceanside. I fully didn't understand what was going on, and she introduced me to the mayor and the city council back when I was a young kid, and that kind of made me interested in politics. I did run for city council in 2000 when I was still in high school.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'm smarter now, and I didn't run again after that. Then I went off.
What's that say about me?
I went off and got my education and worked in broadcasting and journalism. I had a syndicated show in Las Vegas, and also had some music shows that were syndicated in Jersey City and Boston. And now I went back to Palomar College, and I was hired as the station manager for their college radio station. And in fact, if you drive down Oceanside Boulevard, across the street from us, you'll see 3 radio towers. Those are Palomar College's radio towers, and I manage those. So it's very interesting to do kind of like a full 360 back to Oceanside after going off to college. And I teach classes in broadcasting and journalism at Palomar College and media studies. And for 6 years, I was a president of an employee group. So I worked with the Palomar College Board of Trustees. So that's where I learned about the Brown Act, minutes, all this wonderful stuff about public meetings. And in 2019, Zach Beck, our former city clerk, resigned to accept a position as Escondido city clerk. And I applied for the vacancy and was selected by the council. And in 2020, I ran for a full term and won. And I have been city clerk ever since. And it's very interesting because Oceanside is only one of 2 cities in San Diego County that elects their city clerks. And all other city clerks are appointed.
And we'll talk, I want to get into the election stuff a little later, so that's a good transition for us. So you've been with the city. Oh, it's interesting, though, that you were here and you left and came back. And so you're probably really comfortable in front of our KOCT microphones here, right?
Yes, I am. I'm very much comfortable with this.
Great. So what is the role? If I was going to explain to people why we have a city clerk and the role of the clerk, how would you put that?
Well, the role of the city clerk, at least in the City of Oceanside, is to serve as the head elections official for the city. We are also the chief records custodian, so we handle all records for the City of Oceanside at our record center. And we have records going back to 1888.
Wow, I didn't know that.
And we have minutes from city council meetings from 1901 that were written in pen, think of parchment paper and a quill pen, written in Old English. We have police reports about the marshal being shot off his horse. When we used to have an elected city marshal back when we were, during the cowboy era in the 1880s. But we also serve as the legislative director for the city council, where we handle minutes and resolutions and ordinances. We're in charge of publishing ordinances. So we do a lot of stuff. But one of the main things that we do are public records requests with the public. So if somebody wants to request police body camera footage, if they want to request plans or bids or contracts, they go through my office. And as the chief records custodian, we provide that to the public to add like a level of transparency.
So I want to talk about transparency, but since you brought it up, if the public needed to access records or had a request, I know as a city council member, lots of times I'll get an email wanting something or a record, but what's the right way for people to get information? How do they do that?
Well, they could do one of two things. They could call up the city clerk's office and do a records request over the phone, and which we'll be more than happy to do. But we have a new public records request portal where people could log in, create an account if they want to, and request records that way. What's really great about that is they could actually track their request from beginning to end. And we also get that request on our end. We contact the appropriate city departments. We wait for the records. We send them to our city attorney's office. They review them because we don't want to give, your social security number out to anybody.
Everybody has it.
We don't want any private information being released or confidential information. And once we get the review back from our city attorney's office, we release it to the member of the public, and we post it on the portal where other people could see what other people are requesting. And that adds an extra layer of transparency to our government because every once in a while, if there's a controversial vote, we get 20 public records requests requesting the same document. So instead of having to do 20 requests, just post it online and people could see it for themselves.
So easiest way is use the online portal, then you would say.
Oh, yeah.
What's the typical turnaround for, say it was a simple document, something that didn't require a lot of review? What's the turnaround?
Sometimes it's within the hour. If it's something very simple like the minutes for the last meeting, we just go ahead and send that. No need to send it to the city attorney's office. But we do have 10 days to respond to a public records request.
Okay.
And if there's an extension, sometimes people would say, I want all of Rick Robinson's emails since he got elected.
Can they get those?
They could get those, but we do have something called a retention schedule where, we do have to delete and destroy some records after they've met their retention with the city. So it's only as far back as we could get them from our IT department. But stuff like that, that's very large in nature. Our city attorney's office takes a long time to review each and every email or each and every document. So sometimes we do have to have an extension, usually about 14 days.
And just so people know, retention schedules, those are common within cities, and that's done so that we don't have to archive every piece of paper or every email forever. Is that
is correct? We do have a record center on Oceanside Boulevard. but it's very limited in space. And if we were to have saved every single record in the city of Oceanside from 1888 to now, we would be talking about like at least 10 airplane hangars of records, and that would be expensive for the city. So we meet with our city attorney and look at what the law states on how long these records are supposed to be held in our possession. And once they've met their lifespan, we destroy it. And there are some things that we keep in perpetuity.
And before we get too far away from the office itself, why don't you tell us a little bit about the clerk's office, the employees, the number of folks that you supervise, and what they kind of do?
Well, as an elected city clerk, I'm part-time, so thankfully we have 2 full-time deputies in the office. We have our assistant city clerk, and we have our deputy city clerk, who is also our records manager. So each deputy and assistant has their own area that they look after. We have the legislative election side, where we have 2 administrative secretaries that handle public records requests, and we have 2 document technicians that actually take the documents, scan them, and so we have an electronic copy of every single document for the City of Oceanside. And then the records side, we have a records technician. So say a department is looking for research. The fire department wants to look at plans of the old fire station number 1. We have those. And so our records tech would go out, grab them, and then deliver them to, whatever department is requesting those records. And we have a position called a program specialist, who's kind of like a jack of all trades, master of none, who could help out each division as they seem fit. And they help us with our candidates. They help us with our public records requests. They help us with our record center. So they're all around a helpful person that moves from division to division to fill in as needed. So we have a pretty robust city clerk's office that's able to serve the citizens.
And you also do records destruction then? Are you in charge of the destruction of records as well?
Yes. And if you ever want to release aggression or anger or anything, come to the records center, because we have an industrial shredder, and you could toss boxes and documents in there and see them getting shredded. And we have a lot of requests from city employees that want to help out with that.
That's just therapy, employee therapy.
Yeah, if you ever get stuck in traffic or you're ever mad at somebody, just come to the records center. I'll give you a box, and you can just throw it in our shredder. And
I may have to go there today. That may be where I go next. So what's your engagement with the community? What the clerk's office, other than records, are there other things where you're engaged with the community and deal with? Yes,
we do a lot of elections outreach, but one of the main things that we do, because we only have elections every 2 years, is we recruit citizens for our boards and commissions. So we promote all the vacancies for the various boards and commissions that the City of Oceanside has. And generally, when the mayor appoints a commissioner, they're there for a certain term in that position. But every once in a while, people move from Oceanside. People, their interest wanes from their commission, so they resign or they vacate their position, and so we have an unscheduled vacancy. So we promote with senior centers and the library on getting people to apply for all of our various boards of commission, everything from the Planning Commission to Manufactured Homes Fair Practices Commission, Housing Commission, Library Board of Trustees, every single commission that the City of Oceanside has.
We have a lot of them.
We have a lot of them. So we process the applications. We work with Oceanside Police on background checks, and then we submit all the applications to the mayor's office so that she can make her appointments, and the city council could review those appointments.
Yes, because those come approval. They have to be. I don't know if I'm using the right word, approval, but so if somebody was interested in serving on a commission or doing something like that with the city, what's the best way for them to find out where the needs are?
The best way for them to find out where the needs are is to contact the city clerk's office and ask for what boards or commissions have vacancies on them, and then we will be more than happy to send you an application. And you fill it out. Some of it's electronic now. One of our goals is to take you from in-line to online. And we have electronic copies of applications, so if people don't want to come down to City Hall, we could email them the application and they could submit it electronically.
Okay, that's interesting. So when we talked a little bit about elections, and we're kind of getting into that territory a little bit. So we're in the midst of our election season now. Our primary election's coming up. You want to talk a little bit more about your role and the clerk's role in that and how that works with elections?
Yeah, most definitely. So we work with the Register of Voters office on voter outreach. First and foremost, we have voter registration cards in our office, but we also handle information about where to drop off your ballot. The City of Oceanside has several ballot drop-off locations, including our public library. We also, people always ask, well, what district am I in? Am I voting this election? So we get their address, we put it into our system, we tell them what district they're in. So it's fielding a lot of questions about elections. Oceanside doesn't have really primaries. It's mostly presidential, congressional, state assembly offices like that. But in November, we process all the candidate paperwork. We process all the ballot measures. We work with the Register of Voters on ballots, sample ballots, and making sure those are all taken care of, as well as our voting centers and polling places as well. And so we just coordinate a lot with the Register of Voters to make sure that all of our elections go smoothly. And so far they have. We have not had any issues with our elections so far.
So you work all the way through just when the ballots go out, or prior to that?
Yeah,
actually,
even prior to that, way before that. In fact, right now we're working on the candidate handbooks for November. And it's going to be a little interesting for me because I'm also going to be on the ballot as well.
I was just going to ask. I know that we have staggered elections where half the council and the mayor are running this time. I believe it's District 3 and 4 and the mayor.
That is correct.
And I was going to ask, you're also going to be, your office comes up for election.
That is true. Again, it's kind of a very rare thing for a city clerk to be elected in California. Not that many cities elect their city clerks, especially in San Diego. They're mostly appointed by the city manager or city council. So I will be on the ballot. So it's going to be, it's always been very interesting to administer an election, but also be a candidate in that election. And I think 2020 was the toughest one I've ever had to do because it was COVID. I was finishing my doctoral dissertation. I was a candidate working full time and administering an election, but everything got completed successfully. So I was very happy about that. And I think this election would be very, very smooth coming up because we don't have neither COVID and I'm not working on a dissertation.
Yes, and congratulations on the
Thank
doctorate.
you.
What other, I was going to ask you earlier, if somebody wanted to go into this line of work of being a city clerk or into that office, what are the recommendations you have for it? Because we always like to talk about career opportunities. So if somebody had that desire to go into that kind of work, what do you recommend?
I recommend them to find work at a city clerk's office somewhere, either at a city. If a city's not available, we have a lot of public agencies like Sandag, North County Transit that actually do have secretaries and clerks that are needed, and they require staff to complete a lot of complex tasks. So my advice would be to go into a entry-level position and kind of work your way up. Or if you're really good at taking minutes and helping out people, definitely try to find a position like that because those skills can be easily transferable to a city clerk's office. And then as far as education goes, I always recommend people to get either a political science or a public administration degree or a business administration degree because those degrees help you understand how to manage people, how to lead, but also financially plan and strategically plan for your office. Like for our office, we wanted to create electronic copies and electronic versions of various things so people don't have to come down, and that was in response to COVID. So thankfully, with the training that I have and some of our staff has, most of them have their graduate degrees in public administration. We were able to really streamline a lot of processes in our office so people don't have to come down and visit us. They could do everything online. So I would recommend public administration degree and try to find an entry-level position at a clerk's office or a secretary's office.
Very good. And then something I've always wondered, and maybe you can answer this for me, is a lot of our meetings, I know we have we talked about the different boards and commissions and things, and obviously at city council meetings, you're there to oversee and do that. And at other meetings, there's sometimes somebody from the clerk's office, and then sometimes there's staff members playing that role. All those commission meeting stuff have to have somebody that participates in the role of a clerk or an overseer? How does that work?
That is correct. Well, every meeting that's a public meeting and subject to the Brown Act, which is a law in place in California that dictates how we handle public and open meetings. There has to be a clerk or a secretary. Sometimes it's called a secretary, and that's usually handled by a staff member that's associated with that commission. So an example would be the Housing Commission. It's clerked by a staff member from the Housing Department, and that's just to make sure that there's an accurate record of the votes that happen, everything's properly agendized, and that the minutes of that meeting are published and accurately taken, just so there's a level of transparency so the public knows what was voted on, what was discussed, who voted for what, who voted against a certain item, and all those are published on our city clerk's office. But sometimes it's our office that handles meetings, like City Council, Manufactured Homes Fair Practices Commission, and other times it's like Measure X is handled by the city manager's office. And other stuff like the Police and Fire Commission is handled by a member of either the police department or the fire department that counts those votes, takes minutes, and publishes the agenda as well. We are here to add transparency to city government. This is your city government. We're here to help. Please come down to the city council meetings. You can't complain if you're not part of the process.
Exactly.
Volunteer for one of our boards and commissions. So we have a lot of vacancies, and we need volunteers on those boards and commissions.
At council meeting, let's get this in. At council meetings, if people want to participate, there's something very important they need to do, right?
They need to sign up to speak.
Sign up to speak.
We do have a decorum policy, so they can't scream from the audience. If they want to speak, they have to go to the kiosk and sign up electronically. Our staff is there to help out. And once the item is called, we can't take any more public comment. So please don't scream from the audience. Please register to speak, and we'll call your name up, and you'll have anywhere from 2 to 3 minutes to speak.
And I just saw it in one of our bulletins at the city. IT said that they've now got a new assistant for those hard of hearing or that need speech recognition.
Yeah. So if anybody in the public needs assisted hearing devices, we have brand new assisted hearing devices that you could check out from IT. Just come down to my desk, come see me. I'll grab someone from IT and we'll give you a headset so you can listen to the city council meetings if you're hard of hearing or require assisted hearing device. And they're fantastic. They're brand new. They cut down on the ambience so you could actually hear the city council meeting and not just everybody else talking around you.
Awesome. Well, thanks. We're about out of time, and I just want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule and coming in here and helping demystify a little bit about our city clerk's office. Thank you, Zeb.
Always happy to be here.
We'll be right back.
This is Oceanside City Clerk Zeb Navarro with Did You Know on KOCT. Did you know that the elections are coming up? The public will vote for state, federal, and county offices. Ballots will be mailed out to all registered voters. Ballot drop-off locations will also be open, and early voting will also start at the Register of Voters office. For ballot drop-off locations, visit sdvote.com. Not registered to vote or need to update your registration? You could do so at sdvote.com as well. If you have any questions, you could contact the San Diego Register of Voters at 1-800-696-0136 or by visiting sdvote.com. Be sure to keep up with all election coverage at koct.org and follow KOCT on Instagram and Facebook for all things North County.
Well, welcome back, everybody. And I want to do a little update on a very important project here in the city that you're probably aware of. It's called Re-Beach. And Re-Beach is a design competition that brought together teams from around the world to develop innovative sand retention pilot projects for our city. And International Coastal Management, or you'll hear them referred to as ICM, has a concept of living speed bumps, and this concept was selected as the winner. The City Council recently voted to accept staff's recommendation to move forward with ICM's design, and staff will soon begin exploring the different options for where to place this pilot project. A decision will be made between now and the beginning of summer. Be on the lookout for a workshop this summer to discuss staff's findings and hear their recommendations on a location for this pilot project. And I encourage you, if you want more information to track it, go to the city's website, and there's a page called Rebeach, and that is kept up to date with the latest information on the project. And that wraps up another enlightening episode of O'side Demystified. I hope today's discussion shed some light on the inner workings of our city's governance and the invaluable contributions of individuals like Dr. Zeb Navarro, our city clerk. Before I go, I want to remind everybody of our District 2 newsletter. You can sign up at OsideD2.com. The newsletter contains our monthly business highlights and various community events. You can also find all of our O'side Demystified episodes on the website. Remember, O'side is a great place to live, work, and play. Don't let it be a mystery. Until next time, I'm your host, Rick Robinson.
Do you want to get a job in a new field? Get a better job in the same field? Coursera will help unemployed, furloughed, or employed part-time workers gain a competitive edge by providing access to courses and certificate programs. Learn in-demand skills and discover paths to new jobs or career advancement. Oceanside Public Library card holders admitted to this program can choose from the 3,000 plus options on the Coursera.org learning platform at no personal cost. With Coursera, learners can develop or hone skills such as business English, contact tracing, data analytics and business analysis, computer programming, entrepreneurship, marketing, IT, app development, project management, web design, and much more. Courses vary in length, are self-paced, and are fully online. Space is limited. To find out if you are eligible, please visit www.oceansidepubliclibrary.org, and you will find Coursera under the Adults tab.
Hello Oceanside, my name is Scott Bowers, Fire Captain here at Fire Station number 7 on Engine 217 A Division. Each year, lives are lost and millions of dollars of private property is damaged or destroyed due to wildfires. A wildfire can move quickly through dry brush and grass and then spread to structures and vegetation. Yet in many cases, spending the time to perform brush and weed clearance can be the deciding factor in whether your property survives a wildfire. Your property, your responsibility. Proper weed abatement is property owner's responsibility. As your partner in public safety, the Oceanside Fire Department offers the following tips. Create a defensible space around your home, totaling at least 100 feet or up to the property line by removing all dead and dying vegetation within that space. Use fire-resistant landscaping such as succulents, flower beds, and rock in a 30-foot diameter around your home. Trim low-hanging tree branches at least 10 feet away from your chimney. When using power equipment, please use them before 10 a.m. or after 6 p.m. to reduce the risk of starting a fire, especially on windy, hot, dry days. Remove rocks or debris before operating power equipment. Never mow or trim dry grass during a red flag warning. A power tool can spark on a rock and start a grass fire. For more information on weed abatement, please contact the Oceanside Fire Department or visit the website. Remember, together we are all partners in public safety.